Hi guys, welcome to today's session. We're going to be carrying on with this this watercolor that we started last week. So last week we basically just got a sort of sketch in roughly of the subject. And what we're going to do today, initially today, I'm going to block in a background, and that's going to help us kind of define a lot more specifically the lighter shapes particularly. So at the moment it's quite faint. I'm going to try to get the background in and then start to do some darker washes through the rest of the piece. So I'm just going to be using this kind of largish brush, as well as a smaller one for doing some detail work. So this lower portion of the background is going to be more kind of bluish black. The top's got a little bit of green, so maybe start with this kind of green, start doing some washes through there. So I've not got a pure green on my palette. I'm just going to use a mixture of yellow and blue. Starting quite vivid, I'll be able to kind of mute it down a bit if need be. I'm leaving a little thin border of white just up the top of this horn because there is a lighter tone on that sort of top edge. I don't mind it being too patchy because there's a sense of some shadows going on behind there. So at the moment, keeping it fairly loose. We'll probably be passing back over with darker tones anyway, just kind of boldening it out, but we're still in this kind of searching stage in terms of shapes and so on. Just going to mix up a little bit more. And sort of around about the level of the eyes where it starts to dip into a much darker colour, so it doesn't need to go super low, this lighter tone, sort of lighter green tone. So from there I'm going to take a bit more blue and some black, something much darker to start with, maybe even darker than that actually. That's a bit better. Quite strongly blue I've gone for, but we'll be able to do some, if we need to kind of like tone it down from this point, we can do some darker passes. You can see it's made a big difference to the sort of extent to which the ram is popping out of the background. To get this nice darker blue notes in behind up here as well. And I might lift just a few of these bluer tones up into that kind of blurrier background behind. And sort of smudge them a little bit, just with a little bit of added water to kind of scrub them into the lighter tone behind. Yeah, we're definitely going to be going darker. But the rest of the backdrop at a later sort of point in the painting, but for now this isn't too bad. So I'm going to switch to back to sort of more brownish tones. A little bit of blue mixed in just to kind of silver it. Start kind of doing some passes over the shadows as well. So the first sort of shadow is quite greyish, has sort of cools about it. There's definitely a sense that the light kind of hitting or filling in this shadow is quite cool, and you get that through the background a little bit as well. And so this is going to start to help pop out the lighter tones in the ram as well. Again, I can do these as fairly thin passes. A little bit warmer there, didn't want to go overly cool. It's a bit of a mixer, kind of like a broken colour we can go for. It's a little bit too yellow for down there, but it's actually quite good for the horn, so I'm going to pop it up here, this colour. probably a little bit extreme, that blue. I'm going to do a slightly more washy version of it, but I just wanted this sense of that bluish reflected light to be there, rather than it be entirely orange. And a little bit of texture getting in there as well, which is nice. So for the rest of the horn, probably a little bit of a darker colour with a little bit of that burnt, that reddish colour, maybe a little bit excessively dark for the time being, that colour there. Drop back down into these more muted shadows. A bit darker there above that ear. And below it. So I'm not adding like loads more detail in terms of shapes. I've done a little bit maybe, but not tons. More focused just on starting to get these tones a bit more established, so a bit closer to what we're actually looking at. And yeah, it's working pretty well. So you can certainly maybe start to do some slightly deeper passes. This is more like a black. Can build things up gradually, obviously. But yeah, that's not too bad. I'm going to jump in with a slightly smaller brush, just to sort of pop in some bits of detail, start messing around it, sort of a bit more specifically around the edges of things. Particularly kind of notching out just any few sort of darker points is kind of useful at this stage. Gives a little bit more definition to stuff. Around this eye, for instance, I can go a little bit more definite and crisp and detailed with it. Just get those darkest notes in. a little bit of emphasis down this shadow edge, sort of where the shadow cuts in, and being a bit darker and then kind of blending into the lighter parts of that form. But yeah, definitely starting to get a better sort of pop out in these shadows. The definition and the subject generally has improved a lot, which is really good. So I'm just looking around for anywhere where we maybe need more kind of darker accents. And also messing around a bit with colour, so at the moment I've got some purples, which are working quite nicely. Obviously got more kind of orangey colours in some parts, particularly around the horns. Just using pure water here just to spread this darker little shadow that I put in around a bit. It's definitely going to go quite dark there, so it'll go darker I think than how it is at the moment, but just for now I wanted to even it out a little bit. But yeah, I think that's probably a pretty good place to stop for today. So we've got all the kind of major darker tones blocked in, ready to sort of work a bit on the lights next week, and probably we'll be going back in and strengthening the darks as well, just getting things popped out a bit. But we're trying to build it up gradually, not doing anything kind of too quick or drastic, so that we stay in control of everything. Smudge this stuff out a little bit. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this week. So as always, you guys can follow along, working from the same reference, which is in the description. Or you can use something different following the same process. But hopefully you've enjoyed it and you've got lots out of it. If you have any questions, obviously post below, and subscribe to the channel if you want to keep up to date with this and other videos from other people at OCAD, and you can also click the link through if you want to find out the sort of qualifications that we offer, where you'll get proper feedback on all your work. So yeah, that's it for today, and I'll see you guys soon.